Good evening and welcome to the Sundown Selection Sunday Special Edition episode presented by the Sportscast. It is March 12th, 2023. If you haven't yet, subscribe to our channel, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch.tv, and Apple Podcasts. If you're on Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating and review. It'll help us out tremendously. You can listen to us on your smart speaker, play Sportscast. Visit us on the sportscast.net. Also follow us on Twitter, the Sportscast1, and check out our app, the Sportscast, in the iOS App Store. Hello, my name is Alan West. Welcome to the Top 25 Rundown. Like I said, this is the Selection Sunday Special Edition episode because we finally made it. The brackets have been released for both the men and the women, and we're going to see which teams did make it and also which teams were left out. And make some of our picks, including running through the women's tourney today. And other than the first four games for the men's, I think we're going to do the rest of the men's tourney on Wednesday. That way we will at least get into it, but we can make sure that both tourneys are looked at. Also, with North Carolina being one of the teams that was right on the edge of making the tourney. Unfortunately, they didn't make the turn. They said this 10-19, so their season is done, and that is a shame, but it's not surprised. For the men, Alabama is the overall top seed for the tournament. They won the SEC, and then you had Kansas and Houston. They both were the runners-up in their conference tournaments, and Purdue was the final number one seed. We're going to jump in more for the men a little bit later on. Going in for the women's tournament, you have South Carolina, Indiana, Stanford, and Virginia Tech as the top seeds in the tournament. And then you also have the other two teams that were considered for number one seeds was Iowa and UConn, but they ended up on the number two seeds along with Maryland and Utah. So that is going to be much different. And as I said, South Carolina is the number one seed overall, and up until last year, they have not lost a game, and they are the favorite to repeat. If that does happen, they'll be the fourth team joining UConn, Tennessee, and USC, and they would be the fifth school to achieve an undefeated season, besides UConn, Tennessee, Baylor, and Texas. Like I said, we have Indiana, Stanford, and Virginia Tech as the other number one seed. Virginia Tech, they won the ACC tournament as a 3 seed, and they're going to definitely be a team that's going to be in contention. For the 2 seeds, you got UConn, you have Iowa, which Iowa is definitely going to be counting on Caitlin Clark to do very well in the tournament. UConn with Aziz Fudd, her and Aaliyah Edwards, they are two players that are going to make a difference. For Maryland, Brenda Freeze has another strong team that's going to be going in. Then Utah is the second seed as well. Duke is the first and number 3 seeds, and they lost in the ACC tournament finals, but they're going to be a team that's going to be good. Also, LSU is another 3 seed, and they start out the year 23-0, so we're going to see how that stacks up. Notre Dame is the number 3 seed as well, and so is Ohio State. Looking at the number 4 seeds, we have Tennessee and Texas, UCLA, and Villanova. Iowa State starts off the number 5 seeds, followed by Louisville, Oklahoma, Washington State. So, the 6 seeds, we have Colorado, we have Creighton, we have Michigan, we have North Carolina. 7 seeds, we have Arizona, we have Baylor, we have Florida State, and we have the Wolfpack of NC State. Number 8 seeds, we have Ole Miss, we have Oklahoma State, we have South Florida, and we have USC. Looking at the number 9 seeds, we have Gonzaga, we have Marquette, we have Miami, and we have South Dakota State. They won the Summit League. Alabama's number 10. Georgia is a 10 seed as well. Princeton is another 10 seed, followed by the Mountaineers. Congratulations to Princeton for the men and women, both winning the Ivy League titles this year and advancing into the men and women's NCAA tournament. That is very impressive. Illinois is the number 11 seed. This is the first time they've made it in 20 years, followed by Middle Tennessee State. They won in the Conference USA. Mississippi State, Purdue, and St. John's. And UNLV round out the 11 seeds, which we're going to have 2 of those teams as playing games. So we're going to see how that goes when we do our bracket in the second. In the 12 seeds, you got the Drake Bulldogs. You got Florida Gulf Coast. They won the A-Sun. And Drake won the NBC. Portland won the WCC. And Toledo won the MAC. Looking at the 13 seeds, we have the Horizon League champion Cleveland State. We have East Carolina. We have Sacramento State. They won the Big Sky. And you have St. Louis. The 14 seeds, we have Hawaii. We have Iona. They won the MAC, the MAAC. And then we have JMU, who won the Sun Belt. Southern Utah won the WAC. Gardner Webb is a 15 seed, and they won the Big South. Holy Cross won the Patriot League. Vermont won the American East. Southeast Louisiana, they won the Southland. And then we had the 16 seeds, which is the Chattanooga. They won the SoCon. Monmouth won the CAA. Norfolk State won the MEAC. Sacred Heart won the NEC. Southern won the SWAC. And Tennessee Tech won the OVC. So we're looking at our first round games. You have South Carolina going against Norfolk State. You have South Florida going against Marquette. You have Oklahoma going against Portland. You have UCLA going against Sacramento State. You have Creighton going against between Illinois and Mississippi State. You have Notre Dame going against Southern Utah. You have Arizona going against West Virginia. And you have Maryland going against Holy Cross. That's in the Greenville region, the first one. And the other side of the Greenville bracket, I have number 1 Indiana going against the winner of Tennessee Tech and Monmouth. You have Oklahoma State going against Miami. You have Washington State going against Florida Gulf Coast. You have Villanova going against Cleveland State. You have Michigan going against UNLV. You have LSU going against Hawaii. You have NC State going against Princeton. And you have Gardner-Webb going against Utah. In the Seattle first bracket, you have Virginia Tech going against Tennessee Chattanooga. Virginia Tech's the 1 seed. You have USC, the 8 seed, going against the 9 seed South Dakota State. You have number 5 Iowa going against number 12 Toledo. You have number 4 Tennessee going against number 13 St. Louis. You have number 6 North Carolina going against the winner of Purdue and St. Joseph's. You have Ohio State going against James Madison. You have Baylor going against Alabama. And you have number 2 UConn going against number 15 Vermont. And in the finals for St. Louis, for Seattle, the final bracket, you have number 1 Stanford going against Southern or Sacred Heart. It'll be 16. You have number 8 Ole Miss going against number 9 Gonzaga. You have number 5 Louisville going against number 12 Drake. You have number 4 Texas going against number 13 East Carolina. You have number 6 Colorado going against number 11 Middle Tennessee State. You have number 3 Duke going against number 14 Iona. You have number 7 Florida State going against number 10 Georgia. And you have number 2 Iowa going against number 15 Southeast Louisiana. So for the first rounds, I believe that South Carolina is going to beat Norfolk State. I have Marquette beating South Florida. I have Oklahoma beating Portland. I have UCLA beating Sacramento State. I have Creighton beating the winner of Illinois and Mississippi State. I have Notre Dame beating Southern Utah. I have number 10 West Virginia beating number 7 Arizona. And I have number 2 Maryland beating number 15 seed Holy Cross. So I have on the other Greenville bracket, I have number 1 Indiana beating Tennessee Tech and Monmouth. I have number 8 Oklahoma State beating number 9 Miami. I have number 5 Washington State beating Florida Gulf Coast. I have number 4 Villanova beating number 13 Cleveland State. I have Michigan beating number 11 UNLV. I have number 3 LSU beating number 14 Hawaii. I have number 10 Princeton upsetting number 7 NC State. I'm going to take my biggest upset. I'm going to pick number 15 Gardner-Webb over number 2 Utah. Going down to the Seattle regions, I have number 1 Virginia Tech over number 16 Chattanooga. I have number 9 South Dakota State over number 8 USC. I have number 5 Iowa State over number 12 Toledo. I have number 4 Tennessee over number 13 St. Louis. I have number 6 North Carolina over the winner of Purdue or St. Joseph's. I have Ohio State, the 3 seed, beating number 14 James Madison. I have number 7 Baylor over number 10 Alabama, and I have number 2 UConn over number 15 Vermont. In the other side of the Stanford region, I have number 1 Stanford over Southern State Heart. I have number 9 Gonzaga over number 8 Ole Miss. I have number 5 Louisville over number 12 Drake. I have number 4 Texas over number 13 East Carolina. I have number 6 Colorado over number 11 Middle Tennessee State. Middle Tennessee State over number 6 Colorado. I have number 3 Duke over number 14 Iona. I have number 7 Florida State over number 10 Georgia. And I have number 2 Iowa over Southeast Louisiana. For that region, I have number 1 Stanford going over number 9 Gonzaga to make it to the Sweet 16. Number 4 Texas over number 5 Louisville. Number 3 Duke over number 11 Middle Tennessee State. Number 2 Iowa over number 7 Florida State. So right now I have number 1 Stanford, number 4 Texas, number 3 Duke, and number 2 Iowa. I have Virginia Tech beating South Dakota State. I have Tennessee beating Iowa State. I have number 3 Ohio State beating number 6 North Carolina. And I have number 2 UConn beating number 7 Baylor. In Greenville, I do have South Carolina number 1 beating number 9 Marquette. I have Oklahoma number 5 beating number 4 seed UCLA. I believe number 3 Notre Dame is going to beat the number 6 seed, and I think number 2 Maryland is going to beat the number 10 seed West Virginia. On the other side, number 1 Indiana is going to advance over Oklahoma State. And I believe number 5 Washington State is going to beat number 4 Villanova. Number 3 LSU is going to beat number 6 Michigan. And I want to say that Gardner Webb for the women's is going to be the Cinderella story as they make it into the Sweet 16. In the Sweet 16, I believe South Carolina is going to beat Oklahoma, and I believe Maryland is going to beat the 3 seed Notre Dame. I believe Indiana is going to beat the 5 seed Washington State. And unfortunately, Gardner Webb's Cinderella season is going to end in the Sweet 16. LSU is going to beat them. Going down to the Seattle region, I believe number 1 Stanford is going to advance over number 4 Texas, and number 2 Iowa is going to advance over number 3 Duke. I believe number 1 Virginia Tech is going to make it as well, and I'm going to pick an upset this year. I'm going to pick Ohio State upsetting UConn to make it into the Elite Eight. And then I believe Virginia Tech and Iowa. I'm going to pick Iowa over Stanford to make it to the Final Four, followed by South Carolina. They're going to be number 2 Maryland, and I believe I'll go for an upset. I'm going to say LSU is going to make it into the Final Four over number 1 Indiana. So that we'll have two 1 seeds, 1 2 seed, and 1 3 seed. I believe South Carolina is going to beat Iowa, make the championship game, where they will play Virginia Tech. I believe South Carolina is going to win, and I'm going to say it's going to be 85 for South Carolina to 62 over Virginia Tech. So once again, my final four is going to be South Carolina, Iowa, LSU, and Virginia Tech. With South Carolina and Virginia Tech making the championship game, and South Carolina winning it all. We're going to see how that goes. But those are my picks for the women's tournament, and we'll get to the men's tournament in a second. The men's tournament has a little bit of a disparity this year because with Farley Dickinson, they did not win their conference tournament, but because the conference champion was ineligible this year, they were able to advance and play in the game. So they will be representing their group, and we will get to that in a second. Now, the two seeds are Arizona, we have Texas, who won the Big 12. We have UCLA, and we have Marquette. And Marquette just won the Big East. We have three seeds Baylor. We have second place Xavier. We have Gonzaga, who won their division, and then we have Kansas State. We have Virginia, who was the ACC runner-up. We have Indiana. We have UConn. And we have Tennessee. Also, before I forget, I do want to congratulate John Shire on being the first player and coach to win the ACC tournament. He's just adding a lot of little pins on for all of his success. Now, the five seeds, we have San Diego State. In the Mountain West, we have the regular season ACC champion Miami. We have St. Mary's. And we have Duke. So we're going to see how they do. Expect Duke to make a deep run in this tournament. The six seeds, we have the Big East. We have Creighton from the Big East. We have Iowa State. We have TCU. And we have Kentucky. For at least a third of the year, we weren't thinking that Kentucky was going to make it. So for them to be able to right the ship and make the tournament, that's very good. So we're going to see how well they do in the tournament. We have Missouri under first-year head coach Dennis Gates, so I'm going to see how that goes for them. We have Texas A&M, last year's NIT runner-up. Buzz Williams had them in the championship game, so they are going to see how they do this year because they had a very good game against Alabama. Didn't go the way they wanted, but they're definitely going to be a team to beat in the tournament. We also have Northwestern. And then Michigan State is the final 7 seed. But when you get into the tournament, this is Tom Izzo's time to shine. You can never doubt him. So we're going to see how they do. For the 8 seeds, we have the Maryland Terrapins. We have Iowa. We have Arkansas, who was almost one of the first 4 out. So for them to make it, that's good. And we have Memphis. The 9 seeds, we have West Virginia, we have Auburn, we have the Illinois Fighting Illini, we have the Conference USA champion Florida Atlantic Owls, rounding out the 9 seeds. 10 seeds, we have Utah State, the champions of the Mountain West. We have Penn State. We have Boise State. And we have USC. The 11 seeds, we have North Carolina State, which earlier today, they were looking like they were going to be out of the tournament. So for them to make it even better, we're going to see how they do. We have Mississippi State. We have Pittsburgh, which earlier in the year had been leading in the ACC, and they were looking like they were on the outside looking in, but they were able to make it into the tournament. And we have Arizona State. We also have Nevada and Providence, who are part of the first four. 12 seeds, we have the CAA champion Charleston Cougars. We have the Missouri Valley champion Drake Bulldogs. We have the Atlantic 10 champion VCU Rams. And we have Oral Roberts University. 13 seed, we have Furman. We have Kent State. We have the MAAC Conference champion Iona Gales. And we have the Sun Belt champion Louisiana Raging Cajuns. The 14 seed, we have the Big West champion UC Santa Barbara Gauchos. We have the Atlantic Sun champion Kennesaw State Owls. We have the WAC champion Grand Canyon. And we had the Big Sky champion Montana State. 15 seeds, we have the Ivy League Princeton Tigers. We have Colgate. We have the Big South champion UNC Asheville. And we had the American East champion Vermont. The 16 seed, we have Texas A&M Corpus Christi. We have the Ohio Valley champion Southeast Missouri State. We have the Horizon League champions Northern Kentucky. We had the MEAC champion Howard. We have the SWAC champion Texas Southern. And as I said earlier, we have Farley Dickinson, who they made it to the NEC tournament championship game, but they lost to Merrimack. But Merrimack was transitioning to Division One, so Farley Dickinson was able to make it instead. And so let's look at the first 4 games. You will have Texas A&M going against Southeast Missouri State as 16 seeds. You'll have Texas Southern and Farley Dickinson as 16 seeds as well. For the 11th seed, you'll have number 11 Arizona State going against number 11 Nevada, and number 11 Mississippi State going against number 11 Pitt. So I believe for the first 4, Texas A&M Corpus Christi will advance. I think Farley Dickinson will be able to beat Texas Southern. I'm going to pick number 11, Arizona State. And I think Pitt's going to be able to upset Mississippi State. Those are for the first four. And then last week, me and Erwin had picked out the conference champion picks, whereas I had picked for the ASUN Liberty, who turned out to be the runner-up. Southern Miss had been eliminated. My pick for the Rising League is the same thing. The Patriot League Colgate did win. The Big South UNC Asheville did win. The Northeast, I did pick Farley Dickinson. So even though they were the runner-up, they still advanced. The Ohio Valley, Morehead State, they were eliminated early. Missouri Valley, I picked Bradley, who was the runner-up. I picked for the WCC Gonzaga, who won. CAA, I picked the Carlton Charleston, who won. The Southern Conference, I picked Furman, who won. The Summit League, I picked Oral Roberts, who won. The American East was UMass Lowell. They were the runner-up. Big Sky did not. My pick did not work. The Southland A&M Corpus Christi did win. The A10, I picked VCU. They won. The ACC, I picked Virginia. They were the runner-up. The WAC, I had picked Stephen F. Austin. They did not make it. For the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, I picked Iona. They did win. For the Big West, I did pick UC Santa Barbara. They did win. For the Mountain West, I did pick San Diego State. They did win. For the Big East, I did pick Marquette. For the Pac-12, they did not win. I picked Arizona State. They still did make the tournament. For the SWAC, I picked Alcorn State. Unfortunately, they did not make it. For the MEAC, I picked Norfolk State, and they were the runner-up. The Big Ten, I picked Purdue. They did win. Conference USA, I picked Florida Atlantic. They did win. For the Big 12, I picked Kansas. They turned out to be the runner-up. For the Southeastern Conference, I picked Alabama. They did win. For the Mid-American, I picked Toledo. They turned out to be the runner-up. For the American Athletic Conference, I picked Houston. They were the runner-up. Last but not least, for the Ivy League, I picked number 1 Yale, and they were the runner-up to Princeton. So, all in all, the picks, it turned out to be okay, but they weren't as good as some others. So we're gonna wait and see what happens. So for the men's bracket, let's start to dig into there and see what we have for the all right, for the southern bracket, we have number 1 Alabama. We have number 16, the playing game between Texas A&M Corpus Christi and Southeast Missouri states. Then you have number 8, Maryland, going against number 9, West Virginia. You have number 5, San Diego State, going against number 12, Charleston. You have number 4, Virginia, going against number 13, Furman. You have number 6, Creighton, going against number 11, NC State. You have number 3, Baylor, going against number 14, UC Santa Barbara. You have number 7, Missouri, going against number 10, Utah State. And you have number 2, Arizona, going against number 15, Princeton. In the Midwest bracket, you have as number 1 seed Houston going against number 16, Northern Kentucky. You have number 8, Iowa, going against number 9, Auburn. You have number 5, Miami, going against number 2, Drake. You have number 4, Indiana, going against number 13, Kent State. You have number 6, Iowa State, going against Mississippi State or Pitt. You have number 3, Xavier, going against number 14, Kennesaw State. You have number 7, Texas A&M, going against number 10, Penn State. And you have number 2, Texas, going against 15 seed Colgate. In the East bracket, you have number 1, Purdue, going against Texas Southern or Farley Dickinson for the playing game. You have number 8, Memphis, going against number 9, Florida Atlantic. You have number 5, Duke, going against number 12, Oral Roberts. You have number 4, Tennessee, going against number 13, Louisiana. You have number 6, Kentucky, going against number 11, Providence. You have number 3, Kansas State, going against number 14, Montana State. And you have number 7, Michigan State, going against number 10, USC. Number 2, Marquette, going against number 15, Vermont, rounds out the East bracket. Then we look at the West bracket where we have number 1 seed Kansas going against number 16 Howard. We have number 8 Arkansas going against number 9 Illinois. You have number 5 St. Mary's going against number 12 ECU. You have number 4 UConn going against number 13 Iona. You have number 6 TCU going against number either for the playing game Arizona State or Nevada. You have number 3 Gonzaga going against number 14 Grand Canyon. You have number 7 Northwestern going against number 10 Boise State. And you have number 2 UCLA going against number 15 UNC Asheville. So those are all of the 16 games that we have right now. I'm going to start looking into how we're going to get from 68 to 16. I think number 1 Alabama's going to advance. I think number 9 West Virginia is going to upset number 8 Maryland. I'm going to pick number 12 Charleston over number 5 San Diego State. I think Virginia's going to beat Furman. I think Creighton's going to beat NC State. I believe Baylor's going to beat UC Santa Barbara. I'm picking Missouri over Utah State, and I'm picking Arizona over Princeton. Houston I have over Northern Kentucky. I have Auburn over Iowa. I have Miami over Indiana. I have the winner of the playing game over Iowa State. I have Xavier over Kennesaw State. I have Texas A&M over Penn State. And I have Texas over Colgate. In the East Division, I have Utah over the winner of Texas Southern and Farley Dickinson. I have Memphis over Florida Atlantic. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to pick Oral Roberts to upset number 5 Duke. Tennessee, I'm going to pick them over Louisiana. Kentucky, I'm going to pick over Providence. Kansas State, I'm going to pick over Montana State. Michigan State, I'm going to pick over USC. Marquette, I'm going to pick over Vermont. And going to the West, probably number 1 Kansas going to beat number 16 Howard. Number 8 Arkansas is going to beat number 9 Illinois. I'm going to pick VCU to upset number 5 St. Mary's. Number 4 UConn should beat number 13 Iona, even with Rick Pitino as the coach. So we'll see what happens there. Number 6 TCU should beat the winner of Arizona State or Nevada. Number 3 Gonzaga should beat number 14 Grand Canyon. Number 7 Northwestern should beat number 10 Boise State. Number 2 UCLA, I believe they're going to beat number 15 UNC Asheville. Staying down in the East region, I'm going to pick number 1 Purdue to beat number 8 Memphis. Number 12 Oral Roberts, I picked them to upset Tennessee. Number 6 Kentucky, I believe they're going to beat number 3 Kansas State. And Michigan State, I am going to predict they're going to beat number 2 Marquette. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a extra co-host who's going to come in and do some picks as well. I'm joined tonight by Bob Alvis, high school sports commentator, public address announcer, host of Sports Fan, multiple other jobs and activities. Bob, I appreciate you making it in here. Congratulations and welcome to the Selection Sunday Special, sir.
How's it going, Alan?
Going pretty well. I've been able to go through the women's bracket, and I've started working on my Sweet 16 bracket at the moment because I've already done the playing games, and I just finished going through the East bracket for the Sweet 16. I still have the other 3 brackets to go. Have you started working on your bracket yet, sir?
A little bit here and there, and with just the way that everything is going, I mean, it's craziness because I think it was last year or 2 years ago where everybody said, "Hey, this is really open. We wouldn't be shocked if there were no number 1s in the Final Four." Then if you're safe and want to pick wisely, normally if you pick 4 number 1s to go to the Final Four, you're okay. But this could be a strange year. The number 1 seed that I'm least high on, to be honest with you, is Kansas, which I know is weird considering everybody else loves them.
Yep, that is true. I'm actually they're who I'm gonna most likely pick as my champion. I think that they're gonna repeat, as tough as that's gonna be.
Yeah, I mean, you're not the only one that would say that, and I don't think I would deem you as crazy or illogical for that pick. I just don't see it myself. I kind of like UCLA to win the whole thing.
But you gotta remember, UCLA's had 2 injuries that happened during the Pac-12 tournament. You had the one guy who broke his leg, and the other gentleman who got hurt during the tournament.
It's not logical one bit. I agree with you. I just like UCLA. I'm scared of the 1 seed going out early. I'm afraid to pick Houston without Sasser, as you saw today against Memphis. That's going to be an issue if he's not back. I like Purdue a lot, but man, I'll tell you what, I really like Penn State. But with them being a 10 seed, I'm realistic as well. So far, but I thought what Penn State did at the end. I mean, Micah Shrewsbury is almost just writing his blank check for if he wants another job. Where does he want to go?
That is true. We're going to see what happens. Looking at the Sweet 16, depending on how the bracket turns out, if both teams make it far enough, you could be looking at a Kentucky and Michigan State Sweet 16. What do you think about that?
Well, Sister Jean of Loyola fame picked Kentucky, and it's hard to go against the Centurion in her pick. So I like Kentucky probably more than I do Michigan State, but yeah, they're both very interesting picks.
We're gonna see what happens, but I mean that's going way down, looking way far ahead. So we're not at that point yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's gonna be very, very, very interesting. Let me let me get my bracket up here so I can really look at it.
Okay.
Where do you want to start? Or where do you want to start from or whatnot? And I can go.
Go ahead and start from the beginning. Along starts. Go ahead and start at the South bracket, and let's get your picks on it, so that way I've already said mine at least for up to 32.
Yeah, so we can know what not to do.
Yes,
That's a good
exactly.
idea. For my Sweet 16 matchups in the South bracket, I like Alabama and Charleston, and on the bottom half, I like Baylor and Arizona.
Nice. The only one that I did pick differently, I don't think Charleston's going to beat Virginia just because
Yeah.
Charleston lives and dies by the three, and Virginia's defense is pretty tight.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I can see that pick, and I agree with it. I mean, if it's Alabama and Virginia, I would not be surprised.
It's still going to be a great game regardless, but
Yep,
still.
yep.
What do we got for the Midwest?
The Midwest, I have Miami and Texas. I'm sorry. Let me go Sweet 16. Pardon me. I got Miami and Houston in the Sweet 16, and then Texas and let's see. I have Texas and Pitt in the Sweet 16.
All right, for me, I have Houston and Miami. I have Xavier and Texas A&M. I'm gonna play a little different. I'm gonna say that Buzz Williams is able to upset Texas during this tournament.
I think that Texas A&M Penn State game might be the best first round game, and there are a lot of good ones. And I'll tell you too, I think Iowa might give Houston some problems in that round of 32 game as well.
I think Auburn's going to beat Iowa, but if they don't, I definitely can see
Yep.
what you're talking about. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's go ahead and jump down to the West Division. What do you got for the Sweet 16?
The West, I have the Sweet 16 as Illinois and St. Mary's, and then Gonzaga and UCLA.
All right, I have Kansas and UConn, and I have Gonzaga and UCLA.
We couldn't be any more opposite on that top half, could we?
Exactly, exactly.
And I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised to see your pick come true. I'll tell you how I kind of do my picks a little bit for a round of 32 if you want to hear.
Go
Um,
ahead.
and if you don't want to hear, I'm going to tell you anyway. So in that round of 64 matchup, like for example, UConn and Iona, I could see going either way. So I'm afraid to pick UConn to get past when I can see Iona beating them. So the game where I have the more confidence in, that's the winner I take for the Sweet 16.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah,
logical
no.
and it probably isn't going to work, but
Hey, we'll see what happens. I mean, Rick Pitino's been doing a heck of a job at Iona, so
yep.
we'll see if he stays there or not. I did pick VCU to upset St. Mary's, so we're gonna see what happens because I think that game's gonna be one of the games for the tournament. Although when we're going into the East region, yeah, you're not gonna like my picks, but
Well, let me
we're
tell
gonna
you
see
one
what
thing real quick
happens.
about the West. For that top half, the only
Uh-huh.
game I feel good about in the round of 64 is Kansas over Howard. The Arkansas,
Yes.
Illinois, the St. Mary's, VCU, and the UConn Iona, I could see going either way. Fun fact about UConn and Iona: Iona has never won a game in the NCAA tournament. UConn is 0-2 under Danny Hurley in the NCAA tournament. One of those streaks has got to break because I don't know about you, Alan, but I'm pretty sure that we don't allow a tie.
Yeah, no, that's not gonna work, unfortunately.
All right, let's go to the East and make me upset.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
I've got Purdue and Duke in the 16, and on the bottom half, I have got Kentucky and Marquette.
All right, I have Purdue and Oral Roberts, and I have Kentucky and Michigan State.
This is probably one of the least friendliest Duke picks I feel like making, because I feel like Duke could go out early. But I also feel that part of the bracket is set up for Duke to succeed as well. Don't sleep on Memphis. If they were matched up with any other one seed, and the only one seeds they'd be matched up with would be Alabama and Kansas, because they're not going to be matched up with Houston, obviously. I think Memphis. I like Purdue too much to take them out, but I think Memphis can give Purdue some trouble. I'll be honest with you. I was a little surprised Memphis was an 8 seed. I figured they might squeeze into that 7.
I mean, it's kind of like how NC State and Pitt both their 11 seeds. I mean, they had
Mhm.
first been projected to not even make it, so luckily they were able to make it. So the committee did look at that. Although, as we both heard, North Carolina, instead of playing in the NIT, they've decided to end their season so they can start getting ready for next year. Which, I mean, I can see that they were very frustrated because they're the first number 1 seed preseason to not even make the tourney in a while. So we're going to see what happens with them next year.
Why would you ever not want to play games, though? I don't get it. I mean, that's the one thing, and I like Hubert Davis a lot. I'm not a North Carolina fan, but I respect the program. And to me, the fact that for lack of a better term, you don't want to play because, I mean, you said, hey, we're not playing in the NIT. Obviously, you're not going to play in any of the other 2 lower tournaments either. So I don't understand it, but I'm also not in the doors in Chapel Hill.
I think part of what it is they're the way that Hubert Davis is leading North Carolina right now. They're doing the NCAA tournament or bust.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I understand it. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, well, just like you, just like me, we both we don't get paid to
No.
make those decisions. We just get to try to look at them and second guess them or try to see if we can understand them a little bit. So,
And it's very interesting because before I jumped on here, and apologize for being late, by the way, but before I jumped on here, I was watching a little bit of the NIT bracket show, and I don't mean to cut into the flow here, but the NIT bracket show, Liberty is a 2 seed, I believe, or a 3 seed. Their home game
wow,
was Villanova,
that's gonna be interesting.
and they had Tom Crean and Steve Wojciechowski are on the ESPN, one of the 5,000 college basketball shows now, and they asked who do you like to win the NIT. Crean picked Rutgers, Wojo picked Villanova. I'm like, well, that's bad news for Liberty, because I mean Liberty's gonna be a one and done under that, and Villanova, that's a tough draw right out of the gate, But honestly, too, I think it's probably the biggest opponent that Liberty has ever had in Lynchburg. I mean, I know they had Missouri a few years ago, but Missouri wasn't. I mean, honestly, Liberty was expected to win that game, but I cannot remember a opponent of this ilk in Lynchburg as opposed to Villanova. And you got to remember, I mean, Villanova's what 5-6 years from they won the national title.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like it's some just. I mean, Villanova's got tradition, got a lot of it.
oh yeah, that's true.
Sorry to get
I mean,
into so far.
yeah. So, real quick though, I don't know if you watched Oral Roberts when they played in their championship game.
I did not.
Well, they have some 3-point shooters. Plus, they also have a 7'4" center that they have. So that's why I think they could give Duke a hard time.
I think you're right. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I joke around a lot with my daughters who both are not fans. They're 16 and 15, and I posted something on social media and said, "What would be your advice if you were giving people to pick the NCAA tournament?" And asking them a question like that is like asking me what color shoes go best for a woman's outfit to prom. I don't know. So
God.
what one of my daughters said was, my question is, what advice would you give to people picking the NCAA tournament? One of my daughters said, don't. The other one said, guess right. And it's so hard because, I mean, if you look at any matchup outside of the 1-16, because I feel good about all those, but like Colgate is talked up highly. And if you watch Colgate play, Colgate's not a bad team. They've got Texas in the first round. Obviously, that's going to be extremely hard. But I mean, I hate picking the NCAA tournaments, and I'm sure that you and everyone else has their, like their favorite sleeper from the past 4 or 5 years, their favorite first round matchup. I mean, I remember when Greg Marshall was at Winthrop. I want to say they either played Notre Dame or Iowa or somebody like that in the round of 64. And if they didn't win, they had a last shot. And, if you've got a last shot, I don't want to say that's unacceptable, but that's scary. That's scary for these highly ranked teams that are going in, thinking like, and the other thing too about the NCAA tournament, and I'll get off the soapbox after this, it does not measure the best team. It measures who's playing the best and can go, 6-0, 7-0, whatever they need to do to win the national title. I love the tournament. I love the tournament more than any other sporting event, but the best team does not always win. But with that being said, I'm going to at least pick some number ones to get there because they're number one for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
So I was trying to help your Oral Roberts pick by saying, like, those teams that win their conferences, I mean, they can be scary because a lot of them are playing with house money to where they're not expected to win anyway. So, I don't want to say what's the point, but like, they're going in and, nobody expects them to win. So, all out.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the information for Oral Roberts, I saw that Max Adams is still at Oral Roberts, and they went to the Sweet 16 in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So he's averaging 22 points a game, 4 assists. And they're saying that in every meaningful metric, the squad's better than the 2021 team. They've shot 59% from inside the arc and 37 from three since January 1st, and they've won 18 games in a row.
Well, and not only that, I mean, like I'm gonna make the case of why you should probably not pick Duke. John Shire's in his first year. I know he's been on the bench, but it's a different thing when you're up on the big boy seat. And I mean, honestly, if you look back at it, Alan, just in the past probably 10 to 15 years, Duke has had some early exits when they've been a 2 or a 3 seed. So I don't know that Duke is like, a gimme. It's really weird with Duke. I mean, most of the time Duke goes one of two ways. They either go all the way or they go out early. There's no in between normally.
That is true.
So
Because one of the years when you had Elton Brand there, I want to say in 99 or 2000.
right.
You guys lost in the first or second round. I think it was to Oklahoma State, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, even when they had Grant Hill and they were coming off the national title, I forget if it was national title or national title game where they played Arkansas. They got beat by California, which was Jason Kidd. I think it was actually the year before, but they got beat by California in the second round. And I mean, there was one year, and I'm going back a few years, where Duke lost to like Eastern Michigan, I think, in the first round in the late '90s. So I mean, it's really funny because I'm looking at the little thing here on the Google machine, and if you just go from they won the NCAA title in 09 and 10, but then they lost in the Sweet 16, they lost in the second round, they lost in the Elite Eight, they lost in the second round, they won the whole tournament, they lost in the Sweet 16, they lost in the second round. So and that's a bad example because I said it was either go out really early or go all the way. But I mean, it's really been like boom or bust for Duke.
Right.
Luckily for them, it's more boom. But I'll tell you what, when you lose to Lehigh in the first round, that hurts.
That is true.
Now, at least Duke has never lost being a number one seed in the first round, but still.
I was waiting for you to say that, but you know what? That's okay because what did that team do the next year? They won it all.
Exactly.
So you know
And,
what?
you're totally right. You're 100% right.
That and actually the coach who was there, he's at a different school now, and he made the tournament again.
Yep. Yep. Ryan Odom. It's somewhere out west. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but it's I want to say it's not San Diego State, but I want to say it's somebody in that area of town. Maybe I want to say it's not Boise State, maybe Utah State.
Yeah, because I was reading about that earlier when I was going through all this. So let's see.
Utah State.
That's right. I think they're a 10th seed.
Yep. So,
Yep.
but I mean, it's so funny because I would say if you ask me like how confident do I feel in my championship pick, I mean, I feel good about it, but I don't feel like hey, everybody get ready to enjoy UCLA and Purdue on that final night.
Well, here's what we can do. Worst case, since we did a Sweet 16 right now, on Wednesday we can always make some more picks. So
Okay.
this way we at least we got the ball rolling. And yeah, no, I did not watch the NIT show just because I was trying to get the men's and the women's done. I did
Right.
for the women. I did pick South Carolina to win it all. I mean, until they lose,
Yep.
it's going to be tough for anyone to beat them.
Yep. Just looking at my women's bracket real quick, I've got South Carolina, Iowa, Virginia Tech, and Indiana, and I've got South Carolina beating Virginia Tech. I got to go, local a little bit with the Hokies. But one of my friends, she is an assistant coach for Middle Tennessee State, and they're in the Seattle region, has the 11th seed. So I think they're going to beat Colorado, and then I think they're going to upset Duke. But Iowa, to me, I like Iowa a lot. I shouldn't, but I do. I like them a lot.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark is going to be very difficult, and I will look at my bracket real quick. So I gone to it earlier here, and you said your final four, right?
For my women or my men? For the women or for the men?
Women.
I said the South Carolina, Virginia Tech, Indiana, and Iowa.
I have South Carolina, LSU, Virginia Tech, and Iowa.
Okay.
Hokies make it to the championship game, but I have them losing to South Carolina.
Yep. That's what I got.
So I mean, because
It's going to be a
Virginia
fun
Tech, they've had a
tournament.
heck of a year. They've had a heck of
Yep.
a year this year, and they deserve it. So I mean, you know what? We're gonna see what happens. Nah, I did pick number 2 Utah to be upset by Gardner Webb. So we'll
Okay.
see what happens for that for the women. That's my big upset for the women's tourney. I think that Gardner Webb is going to make it to the Sweet 16.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if there's only I believe, to my knowledge, only one time a 16 seed has beaten a 1 in the women's bracket. Do you remember when that was?
Is that 95?
It's somewhere in the 90s because it was Harvard over Stanford.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was that the year that Tara took off?
I don't remember if Tara. I don't think Tara took off. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think Tara took off. But Tara didn't last till the second round. I can tell you that.
Yeah. No, that's why I was thinking about it because yeah, I knew that it wasn't. I knew it wasn't Gino. I knew it wasn't Pat because
Right.
I mean at that time that was when they were literally going to war against each other even more
Yep.
than you saw even in the 2000s. So
Well, and it's funny because even Liberty drew the 16 seed, I think, a couple of those years and had to go play Tennessee. And
Yeah, one of those was when they were both undefeated.
right. And the funny thing is, if you get a blowout on the men's side, a 20-point blowout on the men's side almost is like a 40 in the women's. I mean, for some reason, the women's game, I don't know if it's the talent disparity is a lot greater. I don't know what it is, but you don't find as many close games in those early rounds as you would on the men's side.
Sure, that and the other thing, the women's basketball it does way less than the men's basketball, so sometimes that can be something that you'll notice as well.
Right.
Because when Carol Lawson had that issue with the game ball earlier this year when they used the wrong size ball and the ACC refused to even dignify her when she tried to file complaints. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. So, at least right now, we've got the bases set, and maybe on Wednesday, what we'll do is we will try to look up the NIT. We'll have that bracket because I'm not sure if the NIT will be playing by then, but if they aren't, we can make our picks for that and just run through that.
Yeah, the NIT starts on Tuesday.
All right, so wonder if they have the NIT bracket up yet. I have not seen.
Now the women's bracket for the NIT is not announced till tomorrow. They announced the funny thing is they announced the field, but they don't announce the bracket. Weird.
That is
Let me see the NIT bracket. Let me see. I'm trying to pull it up here. So it starts March 14th, which would be Tuesday. And the first round is March 14th and March 15th. Liberty hosts Villanova on Tuesday on ESPN2 at 9 p.m. The first 3 rounds of the NIT are at home sites. Maybe even the first 4 rounds. No, I think it's first 3. First 3 rounds are at home sites, and then they'll play the semifinals and the national championship in Vegas as opposed to Madison Square Garden.
Oh, really? They're changing up this year.
Yep. And the good thing too about the NIT is if you won your conference in the regular season but did not win the tournament and missed out on the NCAA, you still get a bid to the NIT. So if you look at the NIT, you're going to see a lot of names that are, for lack of a better term, small schools. Alcorn State is in there, for example, Eastern Washington, some teams like that. Now, obviously, they're going to put in their heavy hitters. I mean, like Virginia Tech is 19-14, and they're in the NIT. So you've got your heavy hitters like even Florida is in at 16-16.
Yeah.
But you want your big schools in there, but it's also fair to the smaller conferences that did not get a their champion might have stumbled in the conference tournament. At least they have something to play. At least they have something to show for it.
Yeah, so real quick, since I found that bracket for the men,
Yep.
you want to try and make a few picks?
Sure.
All right, so let's see, we got number 1 Rutgers against Hofstra. I'll take Rutgers.
Yeah, I like Rutgers to come out of that whole right side. I think it'll be Rutgers and Clemson in the semifinals.
Okay.
And the funny thing
Michigan.
too about the NIT is in the NIT, you are really ready to play or you're really not. Because if it almost seems like, and I'm going to pick on Rutgers for a minute. Rutgers was one of the last 4 out, I believe, of the NCAA. They should have probably made the tournament. But, Rutgers may have I don't want to say the hangover pity party of we feel sorry for ourselves, but sometimes it just seems like that team that missed the NCAA tournament won't show up to play, and the team that plays them in the NIT comes away with the win. Funny how it works that way.
Yeah, I mean, I still going down that. I'm gonna pick Virginia Tech over Cincinnati.
Okay.
I'm
I'll
gonna
pick
go straight
Cincinnati.
down on the right side, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
So you're picking Cincinnati.
Yep,
All right, I'll pick New Mexico over
yep,
Utah Valley.
yep.
Has to be a toss-up. I am gonna pick Colorado over Seton Hall.
I'm gonna go Seton Hall in the upset.
Okay. I will pick Clemson over Morehead State.
Yep.
Let's see. I think UAB can beat Southern Miss. I'm gonna take them.
I'm gonna take Southern Miss in the upset.
Okay. Vanderbilt.
Yep.
I'm actually gonna pick Yale for the upset.
Okay, I'm picking Vandy.
All right. I'm gonna take Toledo for the upset.
Okay, I'm gonna take Michigan.
I don't trust Juwan Howard this year the way that they played.
That's why I've got Vanderbilt beating Michigan in the next round.
Okay. Now let's see. I'm gonna take. I'll take Oklahoma State.
Okay.
I will take Eastern Washington in the upset.
Likewise, me too.
I'm gonna take North Texas over Alcorn.
Yep.
I'm gonna take Sam Houston.
Santa Clara in the upset.
Okay. I'm gonna take UC Irvine for the upset.
Sure, why not? I'll go UC Irvine.
I think Florida's gonna beat UCF. I hate to say it, but I think they
Yep.
are. Let's see, Wisconsin. I'll take Bradley. I don't want to go take him.
Yeah, I'll go Bradley as well.
I'm gonna pick Liberty to beat Villanova.
I've got to. I'll get kicked out of Lynchburg. Now,
All
let
right.
me say one thing here, and you probably can figure this out, but the highest seed is going to host in the second round and the quarterfinals. So if for some reason, well, I don't know what they would do if Alcorn and Santa Clara both won, for example, or if Villanova. I think what it would happen if Villanova and Bradley both won, I think Villanova would host the game with Bradley.
Probably.
I think. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it would be Bradley since Bradley technically would be the six. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, we'll see what we'll do since we've made these picks now. We'll be able to update them and then go for the next round. We'll be able to do the next two rounds basically because by the time we come back on for
Right.
our regular show, it'll be the quarterfinals. So on Wednesday we can.
I'm going to be 100%.
Huh?
I said I did not write mine down, so I'm going to be 100% unless you jot them down for me.
I did not write them down either, so we'll play it by ear. Don't worry, we'll be
Okay,
fine.
I'll go back
There were things.
I'll go back and watch the episode here to get my picks.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I've done that before myself to get my picks. So you're not the
I'm a
only
man
one.
of integrity.
Exactly, because see, when I went through and I looked up my picks for who is going to win the conference, other than
Right,
a few that laid an egg,
right.
the majority of who I picked turned out to be runners up if they didn't win. So I think
I think I
I
laid a few eggs on that one.
yeah, I know I had four that I had six that didn't. I think six that didn't advance at all, but the rest of them were either champion or runner up. So that wasn't too bad.
And by the way, real quick on UC Irvine, their head coach actually played up the road from me at Hampton Sydney and was an assistant at Hampton Sydney up there in Farmville. Russell Turner.
Oh, very nice.
So yeah, it's funny because like whenever somebody wins and they have Old Dominion Athletic Conference ties, I hear about that quite a bit, like on like Twitter or social media or whatever, because the ODAC is one of the better Division III conferences, and everybody likes to kind of toot the horn when one of their former members, whether it be a player or a coach, does some good stuff.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't CNU part of the ODAC too?
No, CNU is part of USA South.
Okay.
The ODAC
But I
has
mean,
no
they're
one left in the NCAA tournament now because Randolph Macon, who was one of the higher seeds, and I think like top 3 in the country, lost to Oswego.
Okay. Okay.
But Randolph Macon also, their former head coach, is the head coach at VCU now, Mike Rhodes.
Nice. Yep. That they had a big win today.
Yep. And VCU, I mean, it's funny because everybody remembers VCU for what Shaka did and has what they should. But, Jeff Capel was at VCU when this whole thing got started. Then Anthony Grant was there. I mean, Shaka took it to the next level. And then when Shaka left, I think Rhodes came back from SMU. So, I mean, it's funny because VCU has never been a program that I would say has just been in the toilet bowl. I mean, Sonny Smith coached there for a little bit, and Sonny Smith coached Charles Barkley at Auburn. It was very much like Liberty, I think, at one point in time had an itch for the big names. Sam Rutigliano coached there for football. Bobby Richardson coached there for baseball. And I mean, a lot of people who might not know the history don't know who those names are. Well, let me brief you real quick. Rutigliano coached in the NFL, and Bobby Richardson was a World Series MVP with the Yankees. So, these are guys who had some clout. And then I think Liberty finally got away from, like, with all due respect, they got away from that big name stuff. And I think that helped out a lot. They still have a little bit an itch with it, but not like it was. So I think when you get away from that big name stuff, I think it's actually helpful. And once VCU, because they did have a few rough years in the late 80s and 90s before they really got going with Jeff Capel, Anthony Grant, Shaka, and now Mike Rhodes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, this way we've gotten Election Sunday, and we were able to go and look at the different brackets because, well, this is one of the biggest days of the year for college basketball, and I appreciate, even though you're a little late, I appreciate you coming on so that we could make a few picks and take a look at a few others. And so this way we could look at some more on Wednesday, and then also just check out our brackets one more time in case there's anything that we would have to change just because of the first 4. But
Yep.
feeling
Sounds
pretty
good.
good about my bracket. Hopefully you're feeling somewhat okay about yours.
I never feel good about my bracket or anything else in my life, but as long as it doesn't go to the dumpster, I guess I'm okay.
I understand, sir. I understand. So if someone made the mistake of trying to find you outside of here, how would they find you on social media?
Well, luckily I don't have a mugshot on any website like that, so that's a good thing. I would say the best way is go to Twitter and go to the Sports Buffet. That's TheSportsBuffet, or you can email me thesportsbuffet@gmail.com. I've got a YouTube presence and Instagram as well with the same name, but I'm not on it as much as I am the Twitter and the email.
Understand? Yeah, for me, I probably should post on Twitter. I'm working on that because it's like I said, it's not gonna be 10 years like it was before. You can find me at Alan F West or on Instagram at Alan.West.46. But like I said before, sir, thank you for coming on for the special edition for the Selection Sunday, and I look forward to seeing you on Wednesday for our normal show. And I don't want you pulling to me this time because I know that I appreciate you got your nap, but I felt a little bad you weren't able to come on because me and Erwin, we had a good show, and you would add to it. So hopefully we can make sure that you and me can have as much fun as we normally do, making sure we especially hitting on college basketball.
The alarm is set.
Perfect. If not, I'll make sure that I will call your phone myself. I think I
Please
still have
do.
your number, or if not, I can use Facebook Messenger and call
Please
you
do.
once or twice, like, hey, what are we doing?
Please do. It's always the highlight of my week to join you, Alan. It's a fun time.
Hey, I appreciate it. I feel the same way. And this has been the top 25 rundown college selection Sunday special. For Bob Alvis, this is Alan West. Good night, everybody.